All right. We mentioned them earlier. The Oklahoma Sooners at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. The over-under win total is set at 6.5. And, baby, this is minus 110 both ways. 6-6, 7-5. We've changed the defensive staff. We brought in a new offensive coordinator in Charles Arbuckle. We brought in his quarterback from Washington State in John Mateer. Where Brent's calling the defense himself. He's going down with the ship. Danny, is 7-5 even good enough?
Gosh, I don't think so. I think if he's 7-5, he's in trouble. 6-6, I think he's done. 7-5, I think it's probably done. I think it takes 8 wins to get him back.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the calling the defense thing. It's
right.
I mean, he clearly understands that too, because that's the kind of move you make when you're like, all right, if I'm going down, I'm not letting anybody else be the cause of it. So you look at their schedule. Like the Michigan game, to me, until I see what Michigan looks like, that's a very winnable game for Oklahoma. In my estimation, it's at home. Temple on the road, that's a win. You know, like the non-con, Illinois State, Temple, Kent State, 3-0. Michigan, you could win. Temple, you should win. They might start the year 5-0, and that could be a problem. Weird as it sounds, because if you start 5-0 and then you get to the back half of that schedule and you lose like 5 of 6, that's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Because the back of the schedule is Texas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama, Mizzou, and LSU.
See, if Oklahoma improves, there's 3 winnable games on that remaining schedule. Getting to 8-4, if Oklahoma takes steps forward, and if I'm Brent Venables, like, I'm not going to put myself in the shoes of Brent Venables, but there's got to be a little bit of the competitor too, where you're just like, well, look, yeah, we should be 8-4. You know, this is Oklahoma football. All this 6 and 7 ain't cutting it. I mean, it's just not to the program standard. If we're going to talk about where the Oklahoma job ranks, and we're going to talk about all the success that it's had over the last 50 years, then 7-5, 6-6 is far from the standard that should make it that job. And if you do that year over year over year, then yeah, it's going to be worth a change. That is a brutal schedule. But if Oklahoma is going to be Oklahoma football under Brent Venables, they should be able to win 7-8 games.
8's the number
to save it.
I think so. And it's unfair because, I mean, and I wonder, last year, Florida's schedule was talked about so much, how tough it was. I think clearly that kind of helped Billy Napier. I do think there's a similar, I mean, this is, the number 1 toughest schedule in the country this season. So I do think that helps. Man, I just think Oklahoma fans, a 7 burger up on the board, I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Yep. I mean, because that would be, 3 of his 4 years or 6 or 7 wins?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You had one 10-win season, and then a bunch of these 6-6 middle of the pack type seasons.
Mm-hmm. I also think too, 4 seasons is enough of a sample size to understand whether it's going to work or not.
Do you think that the Michigan game can be like a magic bullet type thing?
Because you're getting how Michigan does after that game,
but you're getting them early.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, in theory, could be a better team at the end of the season than they will be at the beginning of the season. So I think about it like a magic bullet game, in that with context, we say the Michigan team that Oklahoma beat is not the Michigan team that's ranked number 9 in the country, going into the Ohio State game. But if you beat them, then you're saying like, hey, well, we've got to win against the 9th best team in the country. It could be a very, very important one in terms of the math, in addition to the conversation all around it.
I think it's a game you have to win regardless of how Michigan looks at the end of the year. If you're
going to get to 8, then it goes the other way.
Yeah, if you're going to get to 8, you need that win. The rest of the schedule is super difficult.
I think it should, but I think it's a good matchup for Oklahoma early. I think this is one you want.
Yeah, because you're going to have the veteran QB, even though he's new to your school. He's in a familiar offense. Whereas you look at Michigan, if it's Underwood, it's his, I don't know Michigan's schedule off the top of my head, but I got to assume that's his first actual road game. Mm-hmm. And that's not a fun place to play for your first road game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good defensive coordinator / head coach to be facing in your first road game. So